I've considered the likelihood of your world, where it is not a flaw simply to feel. Yet I'm unsure that such a place exists. So instead, I shall write to you of our world. Whoa. For as long as we can remember, emotions have contained a special energy. An energy known as Paeos. Every day, Paeos changes how we think, how we act. You see, Paeos releases when we express our emotions, or leaks out if we try to bottle them up. A surge of Paeos can even create an outburst, sending one's emotional energy to a force nearby possessing its spirit, causing some natural forces to act quite unnaturally. In Zenoa, our city-state, founded upon the ancient philosophy of Stoicism, we've had our fair share of struggles with Paeos. Because of this, our people strive to keep our emotions under control, lest we unleash danger onto our neighbours. And so do I. At least I try to. But sometimes, life makes you wonder if you're really the author of your story. Aww, it's so pretty. Missy. Ooh, early morning. 6 AM. My fingers rifle mindlessly through my phone. I try to find some piece of hope to latch onto. I try to pull myself away from my dreams. Rain. Every night I dream of a sunset from before, and every morning I wake to a sunrise from here and now, the after. Although for the past week or so there hasn't been much of a sunrise, it's been raining all day pretty much non-stop. They're calling it torrential rain now, highly unexpected, and changing seemingly at whim. Floods are becoming a real concern too. Even rumors of it being Paeos related. Well, not much I can do about that. My life is a mess, and my hair is a mess. At least I can do something about my hair. Just a bit of a trim. I don't want to expose our few remaining customers to my forehead. Got a 5 head? Actually, it's kinda cute. Yes, you are. Look a little sleepy, but you're pretty cute. I'll put my clothes on first, then if I wear it up like this, maybe? Beautiful. Ha! That's it. That's the look. The day will not be ready for how I will rue it with this look. Let's go. Nice big old bun. Let's go. I'll change things slowly starting today. Slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. Let's go. Is that our dad? Uncle. Uncle's right on time with the new stock. Looks just like her mama. Aww. The beautiful flower. Got her ring around her neck. I see his face after taking in my appearance, and it dawns on me. But I'm not gonna dwell on that though. Okay. But shut up. Uncle's always getting emotional on me. I give him a pointed look. I hope you don't mind me stealing your look, Mum. Never. I can't afford to dwell on these thoughts, but I won't forget. Work must be done. A customer! So early as well. I knew things were going to change today. I could even hear the rain fading away. A large man bustles into the store, mumbling to himself angrily. Uh-oh.
Oi!
You! First you charge me out the arse, and now I learn it's all a scam. His face pulses red with anger, smoke emanating from his skin. My fleeting optimism crumbles before my eyes. My missus says this ring here is poorly crafted, and the gem is cheap. I look out the windows instinctively. The natural forces give me something else to fear. This man is losing all sense of control. Sir, please, see reason. I don't want to risk Paeos. The forces are already rife in this area with the rain and even thunder. He takes a breath and calms down. Slightly. The forces don't protect me from fraud, girl. You can't expect me to pay this much. I'm reporting this to the Zenoan trade. You hear? I'm sorry, sir. Like I mentioned yesterday, all our gems are handcrafted and locally sourced. That's why we have to charge a bit extra. Oh, cute Twyla. Again, I apologize deeply, sir. But I can't afford to... Well, you see, we don't offer returns on custom orders. Normal standard practice, yes. And I'm offering to sue you. This store has gone to the dogs. What happened to the lady that used to run this shop? She made a necklace for my wife a few years ago, and there weren't any issues. You young'uns just ruin all that we leave behind for you, and don't have any respect for... Aww. These words are a perfect storm of hurt. They assault my mind, take hold, and threaten to never let go. Suddenly, I feel weak. No, Mum wouldn't put up with this. But my body crumbles beneath me anyway. A distant part of me hears his complaints as they grow more and more furious. My thoughts spiral, lost in the sound of the rain plummeting down on the store's roof. Uh-oh. No! A numbness seizes me. I don't hear the noise of the hand-cut locally sourced gem cracking against the tiles. The man leaves, but I do not hear the bell ring or the door slam. Encapsulated in her mind. I don't hear Uncle call my name. And after retreating to my room, I don't hear anything but the incessant rain. The days pass. I don't bother opening up. I don't care to get out of bed. My only customer in a week. Just one ring. I couldn't do that. I still can't get the image out of my head. All my attempts over this past year to be a competent jeweler, to improve my lackluster skills and take over the shop. It all resulted in nothing but those tiny dismissed fragments in my hand. Forces. I really have ruined everything Mum left behind, haven't I? I'm weak, unskilled, nothing like she was. If I was stronger, I could have faced him. And if I was more talented... who is it now? The shop is clearly closed. A hooded figure stands at my door. Where are you? He barges in without the slightest consideration for an invitation. Like he lives here. What's that tattoo on his arm? Got butterflies everywhere. And scars. Beautiful. Sorry for the sudden disturbance, but I need you to make me a bracelet. Who in their flaring forces is this guy? Who knows? So, could you make me a bracelet? No, we're closed. Sorry. I motion towards the door incessantly, but he ignores me. You'll have to open up again. Excuse me? Look, I mean this in the kindest way possible. I give him a skeptical once-over. I struggle to recognize his uniform, yet a part of my mind comes out of its groggy haze. Whatever you're doing right now, it doesn't seem like it's working. The haze lifts fully. I don't know how he came to that conclusion, but There's no rush. Focus on the bracelet for now. We'll talk when you're more awake. I'll pay double for the inconvenience. I respect the man's generosity, but am even more thankful for his no-nonsense attitude. Okay. It'll be a few hours. What kind of bracelet would you like? You can decide that. He gives me a brief look and leaves. Alright then. I guess it's time to make another piece. I don't really mind making jewelry for the most part. It's not too bad of a job. You know, when you're not being yelled at by some flaring brute. Mum drilled the basics into me over the years, but some things you just can't teach. So maybe some people are just unteachable? Either way, I've always dreaded decorating the damn things. Almost more than copying abuse from customers. I just get so lost in my thoughts. I always feel so helpless, looking at the lifeless piece before me. Mum never had struggles with creativity. She could design a whole seasonal range of jewelry in her head in 5 minutes flat. I think back to the piece I made for that rude guy. It really was underwhelming, wasn't it? Can I really blame him at the end of the day? These pieces aren't cheap. There I go again, thinking all sorts of nonsense. I have a bracelet to make. That strange man in black is going to be back at any time soon. And I'd rather he took his bracelet and I never saw him again. Focus on the jewelry. I try to imagine swatting away my thoughts in my head, like they're mosquitoes. Stars, this is so not helping. I still have no clue what to do with this bracelet. Maybe something simple? But what? I take a deep breath. This shouldn't be a problem. I've done this before. If any thoughts come, I will answer them. Somehow. And return to decorating. First things first. Let's work some metal. I'll take my time and do it properly. Differently. That weirdo can't wait till the stars die out. Doesn't flare and concern me. That's their version of swearing. I think he was wearing silver. We'll go silver. Okay. Designs. Now, what should I make for that strange kid in black? He seems to like butterflies a lot, true. He seems like the edgy type. Butterflies. He had a lot of butterflies. Who is that guy anyway? He's obviously not just here for a bracelet. I don't know, but he was kind of nice despite his bluntness. Unlike some people. Who cares? Let's just get it over with. Seems nice. I know I'm tired and moody, but this is the Twilight Jeweler, remember? I'm trying my best. For now, that'll have to do, I hope. It's true, but what under the forces am I supposed to do? I'm trying, Mom. I'm doing my best. Beautiful. Fun. The man comes back a few moments before I finish up. I give him a forced half smile and a nod. I'm Lao, by the way. I head back to the corner. Twyla, charmed. Likewise. After a few finishing touches, I pack up the bracelet. I shift my gaze up towards Lau, and for the first time, I have a proper look at him. Tracer department? I recognize his uniform this time. Fear grasps at my spirit, but it soon dissipates. Something about this man puts me at ease. There is something earnest in his gaze, despite the fierce coldness of his eyes and the sharp contours of his face. There is almost a desperation. Say, Lau, have we met before? He pauses slightly in thought, and for a brief moment I wonder if he's asking himself the same question. I don't think so. Look, I'm sure you've noticed by now, but I'm not really here for a bracelet. He reaches for what I expect to be his wallet, but instead brings out a... What is that? Teardrop? Crystal? A huge drop of water dances helplessly above his palm, as if some force is working against gravity, preventing it from falling into his hand. How under the forces? Haven't been reading the news lately, have you? Is that water? Why is it floating? Yeah. This rainstorm has undergone some strange changes, but it hasn't moved at all. Since it began, the eye of the storm has always been at this store here. It could be her, or it could be the uncle, yeah. They've both been grieving. It takes a few moments for the realization to dawn on me. No, it can't be. So that's why there's a flaring tracer before me? That's why it's been raining non-stop for weeks? It's because of me. I'm so sorry. Forces, what have I done? I feel tears threaten to fall from my eyes. Lau's gaze remains unwavering. I've done it now. I've just completely let myself go these last few days, wallowing in self-pity, thinking things couldn't get any worse, and yet... I didn't mean for this, I swear. I'll make it better. Change something. I'll... Stop. His eyes escape mine. Don't. Do this. There's a firmness to his words, but also something more. You know who I am now, right? I know that you're a tracer, yes. But I haven't really met one before. Look, I'm here to help. Here to help, huh? If only it were that simple. I take a deep breath in. Lau, I think this is all a mistake. Thank you for your consideration, but I don't need... No chance that's working. Yes, you do. You do need help. Trust me, I can handle this on my own. This rain will disappear in a few days. No, by tomorrow. It'll be gone by the time you wake up tomorrow. I swear to the spirits. Don't give me promises that you have no idea how to keep, Twyla. Fine. What do you want from me then, Lau? First off, this water isn't floating. It's repelling against people like opposing magnets. Notice how I don't have an umbrella, and yeah, you had a hood on. Yes, I was trying to prevent your neighbors from noticing me, though I believe they still did. Regardless, my hood was completely dry too, and my arms aren't wet, nor are my boots. This rain is a reflection of your spirit, your Paeos, down to the finest details. You're avoiding people, aren't you? By hauling yourself away in this store. I'm too unsettled to form words, but he takes my silence as agreement. You know what this means? You're the source of this outburst of Paeos energy. He confirms what I'd been fearing. What are you feeling, Twyla? Tell me. This rainstorm won't ease if you keep refusing to help. I study his face for a few seconds. I don't think I've ever seen him around here. I'm feeling sick of your persistence, Lau. Too bad. There's only more where that came from. You'd frustrate the most stoic of Zenoans, you know that? I get that a lot. Just so smirky. My mother used to run this shop. It used to be you couldn't get custom-made jewelry like hers anywhere in Zenoa. The Twilight Jeweler, someplace special to so-and-so many. Over the decades of polishing her craft, she'd slowly built up her legacy. In January last year, she fell sick. Since I was young, she'd occasionally be sick for long stretches, even to the point of being hospitalized at times. Usually she'd get better in a few months, and often keep working through her sickness. So, I really thought it wasn't too serious, but it was serious. I choke on my words. I'm truly sorry, Twyla. I've been trying to take over, but jewelry was her craft, really. I can do it, but still, I'm not sure it ever clicked with me. And now, nobody comes here. Not a soul. Her life work is just falling to pieces before me. The tears flow before I realize. How could I have imagined it had come to this? No, how could I just leave? Eventually, I pushed those thoughts aside and tell Lau about my run-in with that angry man. He was right though. No matter how much of a jerk he was, I've done nothing but ruin all that Mum left behind. We used to get customers from all over Zenoa, you know? I miss watching her work. And now I'm endangering people because I can't keep myself together. I should have at least been able to inherit Mum's strength. Lau furrows his brow. This horrible rain and the storms, it's really all my doing. Stop. You shouldn't beat yourself up over it. It will not help. You're right. I'm getting even more emotional and risking Paeos even further. You are, but that's not it. You need to avoid this thinking, starting now. You're trying to contain your emotions, but on what basis? Little other than fear and shame, I imagine. His voice flares up again, just slightly. Are you okay? Look, nothing I do is going to help if you don't understand that. Feeling emotional about your emotions is hereby prohibited. It's illegal. Illegal? Wait, really? You can do that? No. That was an attempt at humor. Right. So, are you okay? No. You worrisome types get on my nerves. You're just dismissing this outburst as your fault and nothing more. That's also illegal. Really? Why? This is my fault, isn't it?
Huh?
Really? You know it's more complicated than that, Twyla. What you've just told me about your mother and that customer, none of that was your doing. Just accept that there are good reasons for your situation. It doesn't excuse your actions. It doesn't mean that they aren't wrong. But for now, whether you're in the right or wrong, none of that matters. Why not? Most don't get this upset over family passing, right? Otherwise, with you folk around everywhere, it'd be like Paeos Police all over again. Funny, though you wouldn't be joking if you knew how incompetent the PRS has gotten. It's almost even worse than back then. Huh? But he's part of the PRS. Anyhow, I digress. You're right. Not everyone does respond as emotionally as you have, even in cases as high risk as family members passing. But what does it matter? You're a different person altogether. Maybe you have been negligent in controlling yourself, or maybe you've tried desperately to contain your Paeos and have just fallen short. But that's not what I'm tasked to investigate. I'm here to solve this outburst, to stop this rainstorm before it becomes dangerous. So my job is to help you, not to judge you or shame you, or tell you the errors of your ways. So let's just focus on that. Yes? Agreed? Okay, you win. I agree. Good, then let's... But you didn't give me an answer, Lau. Something's clearly bothering you. Let's just focus on your case for now. I focus intently on the coldness of his eyes. For a moment, he stares back, trying to steel himself. But I spy a small glimmer of warmth before he can hide it. I know that warmth, that vulnerability. Forces know I've felt it before. And I feel suddenly as if I know Lau. At least a part of me does. Even though I've never met him before today. No, not agreed. You lose. Come on, there has to be some reason you're being so thorough with my case. After all, you do this every day, right? I doubt you're this meticulous with every outburst. There's so many of them nowadays. He doesn't respond. We stare each other down for a few seconds. I wonder where he got his scars from. They kind of suit him? And damn, does this body need to visit a hairdresser? Fine. All of this started last week. There was the front bell rings and the door creaks open. Flaring earth, why do people only ever come to this store when it's closed? I'm about to chew some poor stranger out for distracting me from Lau's story, when a familiar, friendly face enters the store. Uncle! Followed by a familiar, unfriendly face. Oh. Why is he here again? Am I in for another round of torment? Twyla, you seem to be in lighter spirits today.
Oh?
Am I interrupting something? No, go ahead. I can wait. Thank you.
Hey.
I hope you'll be able to resolve whatever ails poor Twyla here. Uncle shoots me a concerned glance before continuing. Speaking of, Lewis here happened to be one of my newest clients, and he wanted to come in and apologize to you for losing his Hold on, Arthur. The man pulls Uncle in close to whisper something to him nervously. Why has Uncle befriended this man? He looks about as shifty as a Xerxian salesman, his eyes darting from me to Lau frantically. Yes, of course. They can, but... No, I didn't know. I'll make sure. I can barely make out Uncle's hushed replies. Judging from Lau's smirk, I'm guessing it's related to his presence. Right, girl. Tyler, is it? Twyla. Twyla, yes, alright. So the other day, I was a little out of line, you see. A little? Fine. What I said was out of line. No two ways about it. You happy? I looked at Uncle questioningly. Why under the flaring forces did he bring this fool here? Right. I'm absolutely blooming. Thanks. Uncle and Lau glared daggers at Lewis. Righto, listen, here's what happened, alright? That morning, I'd just given my wife that ring as an anniversary gift, and she all but rejected it outright. Look, kid, I don't know the first thing about jewelry. I'm sure you can tell that, but seeing that look of disappointment on her face, like I said, I've brought her a necklace from here before, and she loved it, so I reckon there had to be something wrong with that ring. And look, I don't know if that's on you or someone else, but That's the reason I nearly burnt your store down in anger that day. And let it be known to the skies that I'm sorry for doing that to you. I hope the 2 or 3 of you can accept that apology, and I'll be on my way. Part of me wonders if this humble side of him would have resurfaced as if Lau's tracer uniform didn't carry the treat of a PRS investigation. But I squashed the thought and reluctantly accept his apology. I also apologize. I have a long way to go before I can match my mother's ability. I want to say more, but I feel a lump in my throat rising. Uncle casts a thoughtful gaze towards me, and I steady my breathing. You are not crying right now, Twyla. Uncle's the crier after all, not me.
Hey.
How about you make another piece for this man, Twyla? A necklace this time, perhaps. Free of charge. I'll cover the costs. No, that's alright, Arthur. I've done enough to the less. I exchange glances between Uncle then Lau, with their smiles edging me on. The least I can do is muster the resolve to put on a brave face. Of course. I'll get started on it right away. What color was the ring? Silver. Okay. Designs. I don't know how to feel about this man anymore. Lewis, huh? He doesn't look like a Lewis. He seems to care for his wife a lot. Maybe he's not so bad. I don't know. Let's just forget it. I'll make something fancy, looking and call it day. Maybe he's not bad. He just had a bad day, you know? Benefit of the doubt. I wonder what Lau was going to tell me just now. Whatever it is, talking with him is helping me take my mind off things, so I'm glad. He tries too hard to act aloof. That guy is strange. I can't believe Uncle ran into Lewis like that. Uncle always has been so good with people. I've always admired Uncle. He could always calm Mum down when she was stressed. I wish I knew more about him. He's always so evasive when I ask him about his work. Beautiful. Oh, it's not pretty. The sun sets, making way for the rest of the stars to shine their brightest amidst the rain that continues through it all. Thanks, Twyla. I'll try not to smash this one. And look, if the missus doesn't fancy it, she'll just have to deal with it, eh? Maybe it'll be an antique when you're Zenoa's ace jeweler. The man chuckles heartily. Seeing his complete reversal in mood scares me a little, but I manage to smile as they leave. Lau comes back after leaving earlier on the official tracer duty. So, you were saying, what happened last week, Lau? Sheesh, I don't even get a hi. How was work? Who am I, your wife? Come on, tell me. Forces. Alright. Where was I? Last week there was a case. Go on. Similar to yours, however, by the time I'd been alerted to it, the stakes had already become much higher. He tries to put on an air of indifference, but I can feel that it bellies some deep-seated anguish. What were you tasked with resolving? It was this teenage boy. He'd fallen far too into the kind of thinking I'm trying to have you avoid now. Too hung up on feeling ashamed, feeling as if he'd done some irredeemable wrong. Like there was this cage around his thoughts. Nothing else got through to him, no matter how hard we tried, no matter who I brought onto the job. That mental cage had been built and fortified over many tumultuous years. By the time we were assigned to the case, it was near impenetrable. which is why I'm not letting this rainstorm of yours go on for any longer. He reaches for the bracelet, but I pull it away.
Huh?
What now? So what happened to the boy? And what did his outburst cause anyway? Doesn't matter. Point is, don't follow in his footsteps. Does it matter?
Huh.
Oh yeah? Yeah, it does. I need to know what happened. The whole story, no details spared. And why is that? Because... You're upset about it? I could learn. Yeah. Because, well, if he managed to turn things around, then I want to know how. It could help me, no? I suppose it could. Good thinking. But I don't think... I just want to know how true it is, what you're saying about fear and guilt. Don't believe me? I do, there's so many questions I have about it all. Perhaps it is a bit naive of me to underestimate how complex all these things can get. So this story isn't short, but this is what happened. Hayne was the boy's name. He'd recently dropped out of university at 19. Hayne was innocent, as you are. A victim of little more than his own humanity, I'd say. He was lonely. That was the key emotion in play. And it had left him bedridden for many months. From my understanding, he felt completely isolated. I'm not exactly sure why. We couldn't even manage to pin that down in his state. My conjecture is that no one Hayne knew cared enough to truly know him. To breach the walls we naturally put up against those we don't trust enough. This kind of thing could happen to anyone, right? Even just out of circumstance. Yeah. I'd probably be in bed still if Lau didn't barge straight through the walls I put up. The first of those being the locked front door, of course. There'd be small incidences for years. Witnesses told me their garden was always in a twisted disarray, which I'm sure you know. Is never a good sign, yeah? He even told me about a time that he managed to get out of bed and take a bath. But his loneliness overcame him once more, and the water froze over entirely. This game is beautiful. And yet, there was not a single report. Paeos' response only became aware of the case when the danger was at people's doors. But why? How under the forces can something as severe as that go unreported? His family must have noticed. They did. He wouldn't have been able to get himself out of the tub otherwise. So why didn't they report? I'll get to that soon. Xenoans are more flawed than you may think, Twyla. In any case, Hayne's outburst possessed a natural force, much closer to us than your rain clouds. It possessed a great oak tree behind Xenos Square. Xenos Square? The one on the other side of the country? Yes, us tracers travel constantly, though I do more than most. Anyhow, this tree started acting on the feelings of isolation that entered its spirit, entangling passers-by in its roots. The roots would snare up and around their bodies, all the way to their mouths, to muffle their screams for help. It was gruesome. I haven't seen anything like it before. Some victims had horrible contusions afterwards. So naturally the space had to be cornered off. Meanwhile, tracers were sent to find the source and create a plan of action. We called in doctors, psychiatrists, therapists, but none of their medicine or techniques worked. Then we brought in other teens who'd suffered through outbursts, carrying nurses, Hayne's childhood friends, even paid actors. Paid actors? Needless to say, I wasn't a proponent on that decision, but even somewhat nonsensical measures can work at times. As you can tell, it was pure desperation. We were trying to find Haynes someone, anyone, that could get through to him in a meaningful way. No success whatsoever. He knew these were desperate interventions. And besides, everyone had already left him. His family and friends had all turned their backs on him because of how regularly he risked Paeos. Hane had been depressed for years, I was told afterwards. His family pushed him away from therapy. What? Away from therapy? The people close to him were ashamed and fearful of what others would say. No, I feel the hope drain from my face. Ashamed, but it's not his fault. It's not like he wants to feel lonely. You seem quite outraged for someone who needed to be told this themselves mere hours ago. Sorry? It's not like you want to feel grief either, Twyla. Oh, right. Besides, I'm sure you've noticed this double-edged stigma in Zenoa around emotions. Double-edged stigma? How Zenoans tend to ostracize those unable to control their emotions, as if they've done some great evil. Oh, right. So you're saying while it helps to keep people from risking Paeos, the stigma also harms those experiencing real difficulties controlling their emotions. Yes. It's an unfortunate reality for this city, but this has been the prevailing attitude since the times of Stoicism. What? Stoicism? Never mind. Can you understand now why I was so adamant you recognize urgently the dangers of fear and shame? I admit it meekly. Something about how indifferent he is when he's right ticks me off. I'd almost rather he were all "I told you so" about it. Regardless, I'm glad you're outraged. It's well placed, even if it shows a lack of self-awareness. Gee, thanks. See, that's better. You wouldn't believe how much this stigma complicates Paeos' response on a daily basis. It's more difficult than ever to offer victims lasting help. 2 in 3 cases are repeat victims. Even the slightest of relapse in behavior are criticized by those around you. All this is meant in warning, not to scare you. It's not uncommon for Zenoans to be angered at the sight of a tracer alone. Forces. I'll try to keep that in mind. What were you saying earlier about Hane? Right. So Hane's family pushed him away from professional help and treated him like a freak for years on end. It all makes me think, why would the words of hired strangers take precedence over those drilled in him by his own blood? Regardless, I tried several approaches I even got him to smile once, but in the end, the distance between us was too large to bridge so quickly. The softness of his pale blue eyes pierce through me as he talks, and I feel the tension dissipate from my body. The main impact our efforts had was in increasing Hane's shame, which of course made him feel more isolated. So the outbursts would worsen. The oak tree's roots would reach out further, uprooting houses and businesses to find victims to ensnare. Consequently, Hane would grow more shameful, and his feelings would intensify. This cycle showed no sign of ending. Evacuation orders were sent to everyone within a 200-meter radius, and the community faced millions in damages. Naturally, people were infuriated. Many saw the boy's actions as intentional or plain irresponsible, but invariably hostile. State officials were called to action. He had to be dealt with. There was no way around it, and now Hane doesn't feel anything anymore. Lau. He was taken out. KO'd. I'm so sorry, Lau. His passion and anger for my situation makes perfect sense now. He can't suffer such a tragedy again. I hear you. I'll never let my situation get to that point. However you want to help me, I'll try my best to accept. Thank you, sincerely. Perhaps some good can come from his suffering after all. Can I offer some words of solace, Lau? You can try. I focus on his story, his guilt and regrets. I focus on his guilt, the part of him that remains 1 week behind, wondering how he could have acted differently. He's tried to hide it, but I can feel that it's there, and that it bothers him more than he cares to admit. Lau, you should allow yourself to move past Haynes' case. I know you will always keep a part of his memory inside of you, and honestly, I think that's a good thing. Remember the injustice, but where you can, you need to forgive yourself. Sure, but how? A teenage boy died under my watch because I couldn't do my job well enough. What's there to forgive? You yourself admitted that his case was already out of your hands, that the shame heaped on him had been too much to deal with. That's true, but Lau, you can't blame yourself for not making miracles happen. It's just not reasonable. You're doing the right thing now, trying to change how you work by spending time on my case before it's become severe. And doing the right thing now is all you can do. So please forgive yourself. I feel lighter suddenly, as if some guilt of my own has just left my spirit. Twyla, honestly, I think you're right. Suddenly his head jolts up and he begins eyeing the bracelet in its box suspiciously. He grabs it from the package and rapidly puts it on. Hey, pay up first. You said double, remember? He blinks rapidly and takes a sharp intake of breath. Twyla, this...
Hey!
He looks up at me, his eyes filled with wonder. Wear it. What? Just wear it. I put on the bracelet and the cool silver against my arm sends shivers down my spine. I feel a hint of guilt that differs slightly from my own. Only now do I realize that a minute ago, I felt an intense wave of this exact same shade of guilt as I spoke to Lau. Wait a second. These are your feelings. I feel them.
Hey!
I knew it wasn't just me. Twyla! How did that... What is this? You must be a conduit. There's no other explanation. A conduit? A bridge between two spirits. You've taken the Paeos from my feelings and enchanted this bracelet with them. Me? No way. I did this? But I didn't even do anything. Maybe you weren't aware of the process, but it was entirely your doing all the same. I'm sure of it. You can enchant jewelry with Paeos. Can I really?
Yeah!
Yeah. You bet you can. Twyla, you're an enchantress.